Mics are going on.
All right, guys, we're going to rock and roll here. Take a look at the screen as the show is about to get rocking and rolling here on the Friday edition of the Water Cooler Content and Conversation here in Charlottesville and in Albemarle County and across Central Virginia. A lot we're going to cover on the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. I've been following the movings and shakings of Virginia Democrats as they have majority control of all of government in the Commonwealth of Virginia, State Senate, General Assembly, Governor, boards of visitors. I find it concerning a number of bills that are in the hopper, I should say, more than 50 of them of the taxing variety on, ladies and gentlemen, Virginians. It was my impression that a campaign was run by Virginia Democrats, Abigail Spanberger, of trying to find affordability for the Commonwealth of Virginia, as inflation has made things quite difficult, not just for lower-class Americans, lower-class Virginians, but for Virginians of middle class, of upper middle class. Heck, I even know folks in the upper-class stratosphere that are penny pinching in some capacity. So when I see 50 new bills introduced of the taxing variety, I bring it to your attention and let you, the viewer and listener, determine and decide if what's playing out is the honesty of a campaign trail or one of disingenuous behavior. That topic on today's show. We'll also talk a commentary from the Jefferson Council. We published a report on the I Love CVille network, yours truly, earlier this week on Risa Goluboff as a shortlist candidate to replace Scott Beardsley as president of the University of Virginia. Now, the Jefferson Council has responded to my reporting with commentary of their own, which we will talk about on today's show. I also want to talk the Brett Lillard GovSmart reporting that was done by the CVille Weekly. It's been brought to my attention by an anonymous source, I won't utilize his name, that this was truly a hit piece and a hatchet job with an agenda. And I have proof to back up that statement that I will showcase and relay to you, the viewer and listener, today. When a newspaper that calls itself journalism is strategizing behind the scenes on reporting to make business owners locally of conservative or libertarian or capitalistic or free market ideology, and the focus is to make those folks look bad in print, in writing on their platform. That is a hatchet job backed by vengeance, that's premeditated, and that's exactly what the CVille Weekly did with GovSmart and its CEO and co-founder, Brett Lillard, and we have the proof that we're going to bring to your attention today. We'll also talk about that Virginia basketball game that's on Saturday against Boston College. Sit back and giddy up. Today's show is going to be a doozy, and I would expect the CVille Weekly to be watching this program. I suggest that print, radio, and television consider reporting on what the CVille Weekly has done, and perhaps, Brent and GovSmart have some ammunition that they can utilize here with some decision-making moving forward on how they want to handle this. A lot we're going to talk about on today's show, ladies and gentlemen. The water cooler of content and conversation, as print and radio and television, is now watching Judah and I on the I Love CVille show. This is the last show of the week. We will highlight some of the folks that are watching us right now. Vanessa Parkhill, thank you. Georgia Kilmer, thank you. Laura and Ivy, thank you. Lloyd Snook, thank you. Bill McChesney, Lonnie Murray, Carol Thorpe, Bob Yarborough, Conan Owen watching the program, Jehu Martin, Aaron Moody watching the program, Walter Heineke watching the program. We have delegates, state senators, counselors, supervisors, judges, Commonwealth's attorneys, realtors, financiers, C-suite, bankers watching us on the show. Jude, are you ready to giddy up and get ready?
I'm ready.
It should be a good one. Do you not think so, Judah?
Oh, I think so.
Let's, my friend, lock and load when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Welcome to the I Love CVille show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us. The Friday edition of the flagship of our network. This is the water cooler of content and conversation in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the University of Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. We are unfiltered. We're unabashed. We're unafraid. We're real. We're frank. We're authentic. It's not. I don't want you, the viewer and listener, to like and agree or with everything I say. I'm going to relay commentary and analysis that I believe in to you, the viewer and listener, and then it's up to you to determine what you're going to do with it. I am not a journalist. I was one at one time. A lot of the strategies and knowledge and experience I learned working in print, radio, and television 19 years ago. I launched my firm, my company, 18 years ago in May. Self-employed for 18 years. But a lot of the experience that I garnered while working in print, radio, and television nearly 20 years ago, I'm utilizing while doing this show. But this show is not journalism. It is not journalism. It is my commentary and my analysis on what the hell is happening in the world. And today we're going to talk about taxes and Virginia Democrats on, from my standpoint, how they're about to make living in the Commonwealth of Virginia much more expensive as 50 new tax bills have been introduced. And, you know, I'm going to scratch my head and just kind of reflect to just a few months ago where on the campaign trail, Abigail Spanberger, the newly minted governor of the Commonwealth, the first female governor in Virginia history, how she was promising Virginians on the campaign trail that this was going to be a campaign, and if she's fortunate to get elected as the governor of Virginia, she would be focused on making affordability a priority for Virginians. Well, it looks like already that's not the case. I want to talk about that on the show. I want to talk about 50 new tax bills that have been introduced by Virginia Democrats, including some of them by category and or name. Judah Wickower. We're going to talk the Jefferson Council on today's program. I had a report earlier this week on the I Love CVille network. It came out on Tuesday, actually Monday evening. Came out on Monday evening. I cited 2 anonymous sources that were extremely close to the hiring process. And these 2 anonymous sources relayed information to me that former UVA Law School Dean Risa Goluboff, the first female dean at the UVA School of Laws in the UVA School of Law's history, is atop the short list to replace Scott Beardsley as president of the University of Virginia. We reported that. We stand by it. Risa Goluboff is credentialed, experienced, has degrees from Harvard and Yale and Princeton. She is on paper what a school president looks like. Now the Jefferson Council has some commentary and some analysis and some background and some color and insight into Risa Goluboff and why she may be a shortlist candidate to replace Scott Beardsley as president of the University of Virginia, confirming what I published on the I Love CVille network on Monday evening. We're going to talk about a hit piece, one of the most unethical hit pieces I've seen written in Central Virginia. I've been here for 25 years, and I have been in the crossfire of the CVille Weekly personally from a hit piece standpoint 3 years ago or so. The publication that's called the CVille Weekly published an article about GovSmart, a government contracting firm that's based here in Charlottesville that was co-founded by Brent Lillard. This reporting, I'm calling it a hatchet job effing hit piece, compared in the article GovSmart and Brent Lillard to IBM and its ties to Nazi Germany and doxing Jews during a world war.
And even that is questionable.
I now have been relayed information that I'm going to pass on to you in minutes on the I Love CVille show, why I can confirm that this was a strategized hit job. That story in about 10 minutes on the I Love CVille show. Giddy up and get ready. We'll also talk on the program about Charlottesville City Council. During a retreat, they've been briefed by a financial advisor that revenues for this coming fiscal year may be flat or down. This financial advisor highlights macroeconomic circumstances and trends, and this financial advisor also highlights some trends associated with real estate property assessments and how in the city of Charlottesville, they're not increasing or escalating like they once did. Furthermore, I'm going to add a little color to this as well. What no one is talking about right now is the ice and snow that's impacted Charlottesville and Albemarle County and Central Virginia and much of the country. Certainly here in Charlottesville and Albemarle and Central Virginia. This ice, this snow, this precarious inclement weather, the businesses and the people that are getting hurt the most by this are the locally owned and operated small business mom and pops. This ice, this snow, this inclement weather, these tough driving conditions, the difficulty of parking anywhere, they're not impacting the Fortune 100, the Fortune 500, the Fortune 50, the big box brands like the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Targets. They're impacting the beloved businesses that we love, that are closing early, that cannot get staff into work, that don't have customers walking in the door, and it's all happening during the first quarter of the year where shopping was already down because credit card debt was high from the Christmas holiday season. So I'm going to tell you right now, as these frigid temperatures continue in the single digits and with more snow and ice in the forecast in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia, the outlook for budget season, the outlook for revenue in Albemarle and Charlottesville should be one of concern. And why should it in particularly concern you as a property owner, a business owner, as a real estate owner, is because if the meals tax is not what it should be, if the lodging and sales taxes aren't what they should be, then they're going to be coming after you and I in our pockets, in our personal property, our real estate, our investment property. Mark that down. Mark that down. A lot we're going to cover on the broadcast, including Boston College and the University of Virginia, ladies and gentlemen. A matchup tomorrow in Chestnut Hill where the University of Virginia is going to put what is a really solid record on the line against a lowly Boston Eagles basketball team. A lot we're going to cover on the broadcast. I want to give some props to a small business that I stand by that is the definition of honest, the definition of hardworking, and it's Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. This business is run by a father and son named John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion, and the business has been in operation for 3 generations. On East High Street at Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. Online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. You can buy something on Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, anything you need. Pool, house, vacuum, cleaning, janitorial, anything on their website, and it's delivered for free on your doorstep, in many cases the same day, faster than the big box brands, at a better price point than the big box brands. There is no reason to be shopping for sanitary, cleaning, vacuum, swimming pool, anything tied to hygiene at any other location except for Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. Put that down, ladies and gentlemen. That's fact. And their sister company, Charlottesville Swimming Pool Company, is who you should be contacting for anything swimming pool related. They're 5 generations of Albemarle County, and these dudes bust their asses to make our community a better place. They invest in the community. Judah Wickower, I'm fired up today. Studio camera, then a 2-shot. Judah Wickower, studio camera, and then a 2-shot. My friend, I need to talk about, I say on the show all the time, okay? I say literally on the show all the time. that I identify with no political party that's out there. I don't identify as a Trump Republican or MAGA. I don't identify as a Joe Biden Democrat, a Harris Democrat, a Spanberger Democrat. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a rightist. I'm not an activist. I'm not a protester. When it's all said and done, I am fiscally conservative and socially liberal. And I think a large portion of Central Virginia, of the Commonwealth, and our country embodies that ideological mindset. Fiscal conservatism, socially liberal. I don't care who you have sex with. I don't care who you marry. I don't care what you put in your pipe and smoke. I don't care what God you pray to. I don't care what you do in your free time. Just don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to wear. Don't tell me to stay in my house. Don't tell me what to do with my money. And don't try to take more of it, because I'm working 80 hours a week, busting my ass, creating jobs, supporting my family, paying a mortgage, paying school tuition. And I'm trying to leave this community in a better footprint than when I first arrived through a conscious capitalistic mindset. I run a business, multiple businesses in the black, and I bust my tail doing it. I pay my taxes. And when I follow Abigail Spanberger and Winsome Earl Sears in 2025, and this push, this race for a hotly contested, it wasn't hotly contested, Spanberger beat her ass, this governor's race. I remember things, just like when I remember when Terry McAuliffe said not once but twice but 3 times that parents should not be involved in their schools and their children's education in public schools.
Yeah.
I remember when Terry McAuliffe said that once, 2, 3 times, which pushed Glenn Youngkin to victory. I remember when Winsome Earl Sears runs the worst governor campaign maybe in Commonwealth history, when she fires her campaign manager mid campaign cycle.
Because I think he was her pastor.
It was her pastor from her church. She hired a campaign manager, a pastor from her church, because she wanted to get the black vote in Virginia. Then she realized, oh my goodness, this guy is a church pastor. He's not good at running campaigns. I need to fire him. I watched as Youngkin and Winsome Earl Sears and as John Reed and Jason Miyares showed a splintered, fractured top of the ticket campaign, top of the ticket strategy, which then trickled down the totem pole at the local level on so many instances. I mean, the fact that Jason Miyares was not able to win the attorney general spot when his opponent text messaged other people about politicians dying and their kids dying in their mother's arms. When he was caught speeding recklessly on the campaign trail, significantly over the speed limit, and trying to use his influence to get out of the ticket, and he still was able to beat Jason Miyares? That shows you how bad a campaign Winsome Earl Sears, Reed, Miyares ran this past election cycle. Now, Spanberger said all the right things. Spanberger did all the right things. And one of her prime MOs this election cycle was affordability for Virginians. It was a campaign built around affordability for Virginians and distancing Virginia from what some would call MAGA, Trumponian push into Virginia. That's what the whole campaign was about. And Virginians overwhelmingly supported Abigail Spanberger. She dominated Winsome Earl Sears. She humiliated Winsome Earl Sears. And here we are, a couple of weeks after she's been inaugurated and sworn into office? And Virginia Democrats, Abigail Spanberger, have 50 new tax bills that have been introduced. 50, Judah?
To be fair to Abigail Spanberger, I don't believe she was behind any of those bills. She also has veto power over any bills that do make it through.
Some of these new tax bills, new personal property taxes, gym memberships, taxes on gym memberships, highway use fees, home repair taxes, vehicle repair taxes, electric leaf blower taxes, electric landscaping equipment taxes, large employer taxes, gun and ammunition taxes, new income tax brackets, event taxes, concert taxes, investment income taxes, storage facility taxes, dog walking taxes, dog grooming taxes, counseling taxes, digital personal property taxes, new car taxes, concert. I mean, I could continue. Okay, now Judah's going to say, oh. This is what Judah's saying. It's Virginia Democrats. It's Virginia Democrats that have introduced these tax bills. We're not going to put it on Abigail Spanberger. It's the folks that were already in place that are doing these tax bills. Do you think she's going to veto them?
Your guess is as good as mine.
What's your guess?
I don't have a guess.
Do you think she's going to veto them?
That's a horrible question.
I get a text message. I get a direct message, ladies and gentlemen, from somebody I trust, and Ginny Who. And Ginny Who sends me a text message or a Twitter thread that's kind of matriculating on the X platform. Okay, and already you have folks in Virginia that are pushing Spanberger as a potential presidential or vice presidential candidate, that she's being groomed for this type of run. Nick Freitas, for example, talked about this on Twitter yesterday, and Nick's got a checkered past. We all know Nick's checkered past, but he calls Spanberger someone being groomed for higher office already. And Ginny Who strategizes in DM capacity with me about State Senator, the head of the State Senate, Louise Lucas, and how these extremely influential Virginia Democrats are working behind the scenes in concert with Abigail Spanberger. And it's a give and take, this behind the scenes concert. You help us, Abigail, with reimagining boards of visitors at universities and colleges in the Commonwealth like UVA, and you help us return diversity, equity, and inclusion to universities and colleges like UVA with these 10 appointments that you just made. You help us change the look of President Scott Beardsley and maybe replace Scott Beardsley with Risa Goluboff. You help us reimagine Virginia Military Institute, one of the most storied institutes in America, Virginia Military Institute, ladies and gentlemen. And you help us reimagine this institute, get the president out and make it more diverse and inclusive, more DEI, and we'll back you on this push for higher office to either a vice president conversation or presidential conversation. Help us by reimagining the BOV at VMI, by putting a Ralph Northam on the board. Imagine the lunacy, the asinine, the hypocrisy. VMI's Board of Visitors and Ralph Northam, the former governor, on the board at Virginia Military Institute. The same governor that had yearbook photos published when he was in office of him wearing blackface decades ago. This same guy is handpicked by Spanberger for the VMI BOV to help drive diversity and equity and inclusion into Virginia Military Institute. We read tea leaves. That's all we try to do on this talk show, and all we try to do is figure out what's going on around here. That's all I'm trying to do. So if the people of influence in the General Assembly, Scott, if the people of influence in the General Assembly, Lucas, are working behind the scenes in concert with Spanberger on certain projects, and in return they get their support for Spanberger, Spanberger gets their support for a totem pole push politically forward. That's what's happening. You need to watch where the rubber meets the road on these 50 introduced tax bills, Virginians.
No doubt.
And if these tax bills are approved, if they're not vetoed, and the cost of living becomes more expensive here in the Commonwealth, then you have to say, that's disingenuous with what you were campaigning upon in 2025. You disagree?
No, I agree with that final statement.
Am I missing something?
Probably.
For example,
For example, we don't really know what's in the bills. We've got a political, post about all the stuff that is potentially in the bills, about what they're about. But the details really do matter, I think, in this case. And I think we will have to wait and see if any of these even make it through the assembly, and take a look at what's actually in the bills, rather than just saying, "Oh man, they're trying to tax dog walkers." I don't think it's as simple as just a list of all the things they're going to add taxes to.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There are more than 50 new bills that have been introduced, all associated with increased taxes on Virginians.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
looks that way.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And then I responded by saying, let's watch the rubber meet the road. Because if Spanberger does not fight back on these 50 new introduced bills increasing taxes on Virginians, then what she campaigned upon was a lie. The gist of what I just started the show upon was that statement.
Okay.
Next headline, Judah Wickower, Jefferson Council headline. Please put that on screen. Ladies and gentlemen, on Monday evening, I reported on the I Love CVille network, citing two anonymous sources that are very close to the hiring process, very close to decision makers at the BOV. One of them, I have to choose my words very carefully. One of them, as close as possible, have confirmed with me, indicated to me, passed along to me that Risa Goluboff is a potential candidate atop a shortlist to replace Scott Beardsley as president of the University of Virginia, and yet another political move by Abigail Spanberger. Scott Beardsley was appointed president of the University of Virginia by a board of visitors that was embattled and fractured, one appointed by Glenn Youngkin. That board of visitors, by the letter of the law, was not a legitimate board, by the letter of the law. It did not have a full board by number count. It did not have the viable amount of Virginians on the board, and it did not have the viable amount of University of Virginia alum on the board. That letter of the law is going to be used, if a move is made, as leverage to replace Beardsley as president of the University of Virginia. The Board of Visitors is now under Spanberger influence and control. She's made 10 appointments to it. Those 10 appointments are waiting for confirmation from the General Assembly. The General Assembly is controlled by Democrats. Spanberger is a Democrat. Those 10 appointments will be rubber stamped.
No doubt.
When those 10 appointments are rubber stamped by the General Assembly, Spanberger's influence over the most prestigious university in the Commonwealth, UVA, and one of the most prestigious universities in the country, UVA, will be fully flexed. The talk by insiders in the know is that Spanberger is going to use that influence to replace Scott Beardsley as president, because it was a Youngkin pick, a corporate world selection, a McKinsey consultant. I need to stand up for Beardsley here. He was a 3-term Darden dean.
Yeah.
He's fantastic at fundraising. The Darden School, one of the best in the world.
Well, by all accounts, the search was legitimate, with the exception of
The viability and legitimacy of the BOV.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, it was undertaken by a firm, and it sounds like they were thorough enough. I mean, I don't think anyone can really call out Beardsley for any particular reason.
I agree 100% with you.
Except you don't like the fact that he was chosen by the wrong people.
And there it is. And that's why Beardsley is going to be called out, because he was selected by what is perceived to be MAGA Republicans, Youngkinites, who are one branch away in the family tree away from MAGA. And Spanberger knows this, and she has a mindset of being politically ambitious, and she's going to springboard the tumultuous turn of events and the soap opera saga that is UVA into a what is perceived to be a visionary that rights and stables the ship. And one of those writing and stabling of the ships, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, will be replacing the president. Jefferson Council, the lobbying group,
Yep.
an entity, a nonprofit whose focus, the Jefferson Council, is to return Jeffersonian principles to the university, the one sanction honor code, the Jefferson Council that wants to return tuition affordability to UVA, the Jefferson Council that wants to remove diversity, equity, and inclusion from UVA, the Jefferson Council that wants to return Thomas Jefferson's legacy and reputation to the University of Virginia, has now penned reporting on its website that in a lot of ways backs what I said on the I Love CVille network on Monday evening, that Risa Goluboff is in fact a shortlist candidate for president and has been for some time, and was Jim Ryan's handpicked heir apparent.
Which I'm sure you'll get to, has a deeper
Go ahead.
well of information. She was very much in alignment with President Ryan.
More progressive even
Yeah.
than Jim Ryan.
And as you said, he essentially had chosen her as his successor, as we all know that he was planning on leaving the presidency in the near future. I believe he had planned to exit as president this year if obvious events had not precipitated a quicker exit. Unfortunately, by Jefferson Council's reporting, she was originally going to be brought on as the provost. That failed when her peers did not think that she was an acceptable choice. They thought that someone better was needed, and so they moved on. And that's why we've had a lack of provost, because Ryan was not happy with that and wanted her to be the choice. Then, as he left, she was not chosen as one of the 4 candidates by the search committee. At which point, we got
Scott Beardsley.
yeah.
Risa Goluboff continues to be in the mix as a replacement for Scott Beardsley. Has been in the mix for some time. And it was not until Monday evening when the I Love CVille network reported on Goluboff being in the mix did we know anything about Goluboff as a potential candidate for presidency, provost, any position at the University of Virginia. She was simply, and not demeaning in any capacity, the first female law school dean in UVA School of Law history.
And by all accounts, intelligent,
By all accounts.
able, and
By all accounts.
but
Definition of presidential.
in the professional judgment of the presidential search committee, Goluboff was not qualified at this time to serve as president.
And it's important to emphasize, the Cavalier Daily offered reporting, if you remember, on how Porter Wilkinson, the vice rector, and now perceived to be a hatchet person for Glenn Youngkin on the Board of Visitors, how she very much impacted the search that you specifically mentioned, taking the search committee in a different direction from other candidates that they had handpicked into what we have now. If you remember the Cavalier Daily reporting, some of the best reporting ever done by Cavalier Daily highlights many people on that very search committee that talked about how Porter Wilkinson influenced the committee in ways that the search committee deemed inappropriate, utilizing her vice rector position to dictate a committee's efforts into one direction that she personally saw fit.
Okay.
Jefferson Council did not mention that in its reporting today. Regardless, remember the name Risa Goluboff. It continues to be on the short tip, the tip of the tongues of many different platforms and organizations. Next topic, Judah Wickower, put it on the feed.
Next up, we've got the hit piece.
This story is bananas to me.
Yeah, no doubt.
The CVille Weekly on Wednesday published a hit piece on GovSmart and CEO Brent Lillard the co-founder of the government contracting firm based in Charlottesville that employs more than 90 people. The hit piece tried to take a sliver of revenue associated with the facilitation of services to ICE by GovSmart.
Yeah.
That facilitation of services to ICE by GovSmart was to the tune of just over $3 million. You're talking a government contracting firm that does north of $500 million.
Yeah.
Its 18th revenue stream. Someone called that insignificant revenue stream. $3 million and change when the company's doing $500 million in top line. I would call that peanuts.
Minuscule.
Regardless, the CVille Weekly chose to highlight a $3 million revenue stream and a company that does north of $500 million as the basis for its reporting. And I said, Jesus, on Wednesday I said, this is ridiculous. Why would the CVille Weekly, who is barely staying in business, who cannot afford an office anymore, who's literally giving up its office on the downtown mall, the sign's still there, it's a dark hole in a cave, they don't work, they work hybrid, who's still clinging to a print advertising business model. Everyone knows that the print advertising business model is the yellow pages, Morse code, the dodo bird, Tom from MySpace. That's what the print advertising business model is. They're so desperate that they are running a call to action campaign. Please subscribe to us or donate to us. Why would you subscribe to something when it's given to you for free? Yet they're running hit pieces on Wednesday on local businesses that support charities, employ more than 90 people, own real estate, and contribute to the community. I was left scratching my head. I'm like, what the hell is going on? This doesn't make strategic sense for its owners, Blair Kelly and Bill Chapman, to do.
Yeah.
This is just going to alienate other business owners who are the advertisers of this publication. What are they doing? Then we were passed along information this morning. The author of the hit piece is a gentleman, and I use that word loosely, named Nathan Alderman. The information we were passed on this morning encouraged me to visit a website called nathanalderman.com. So I did. I went to Nathan, Nathan, Alderman, Alderman.com. And when I went to nathanalderman.com, I started scrolling. I'm like, oh, this is a cool website, Nathan. You got a little typewriter in the corner. You got a pretty picture of the sky, Nathan Alderman. A photo of you. I like the cardigan that you're wearing there, Nathan Alderman. And then I clicked something on the homepage called Fact. And when I clicked Fact on Nathan Alderman's homepage, I got sent to a URL called nathanalderman.com/fact. And next thing I know, in the middle of that page, I click, ladies and gentlemen, on something called Albemarle Dems newsletter. And before I know it, I'm realizing that, goodness gracious, the author of the hit piece against GovSmart and Brent Lillard is also the communications director for the Albemarle County Democratic Party. Here we have the author of a hit piece focused on a CEO named Brent Lillard, who is, I would say, probably just like me, fiscally conservative and socially liberal, probably just like me, polarized by our two-party system of Sleepy Joe Biden and speak out of one side of your mouth, do something different, Donald Trump. An individual that's exhausted with the taxes that we pay despite the effort, the growing of economy and supporting the economy and supporting communities that we do. And I'm astonished that the CVille Weekly would hire the comms director for the Albemarle County Democratic Party to write a hit piece on somebody that is maybe on paper perceived to be conservative or Republican, but likely is not.
Likely doesn't matter.
Certainly not in my book. I support businesses based on the service they provide me and the quality of that service, not whether or not the founder, the owner of the businesses are liberal or Republican, Democrat or conservative, atheist or God-fearing. Okay? It's on the service you provide me. So I'm left asking this question, and I'll pass it to you. Should the comms director for the Albemarle County Democratic Party be writing a report in a journalistic setting about a CEO that's a founder of a government contracting business that does $500 million in top-line revenue with a peanuts portion, $3 million, associated with ICE, one of the top agenda items for Albemarle County Democrats and their activist efforts, and certainly all over the newsletter that Nathan Alderman has been publishing?
Yeah. I'm more surprised by the fact that CVille Weekly actually published the article. If I had to guess, nobody read it. They just put it up there.
The guy that is publishing communications for Albemarle County Democrats on activism and protests tied to immigration customs enforcement is then moonlighting as a reporter in a newspaper, hatchet jobbing a government contracting firm that has $3 million in contractual ties indirectly to ICE. The ethics or the crossroads behind employing a political communications director who also is able to utilize a media platform to attack business owners locally is, I think the CVille Weekly's put this in the past, dubious at best. That should be on the Charlottesville subreddit. Not the cars the guy drives.
Yeah.
Not the hobbies he does in martial arts. Not the political leanings from his Facebook page. And if memory serves correct, and I'm going to ask him on Tuesday, because Brent's going to be on the I Love CVille show on Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. to talk about this story. I believe his wife is Brazilian. And it's no surprise that that article is not on the CVille Weekly Facebook page or on any of its social media channels. I can assure you, after Tuesday and Wednesday, after Wednesday, Thursday, and today's show, that Bill Chapman and Blair Kelly told somebody at the CVille Weekly, well, I don't know how they would tell them, they don't have an office anymore. I guess they're going to communicate with them through Instant Messenger, Facebook Messenger, the group WhatsApp. Not to social media syndicate this hatchet job, and shame on you guys for doing it, because any other business owner locally in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia is going to think twice over ever advertising in this publication again.
No doubt.
Am I missing anything?
Yeah. I mean,
Specifically, what am I missing, Judah?
Just
You said yes.
But
So
just more-
specifically, what am I
just
missing?
more details. His inclusion of IBM and the Nazis in his article. I mean, that's a joke. There's still debate going on today over whether IBM was complicit in anything that they did. They essentially made them punch cards. He talks about the 1930s. Nobody even knew. I don't even think there were concentration camps in the 30s. If there were, nobody was aware of them until the 40s. So drawing a line of conclusion between IBM and Nazis, and then somehow trying to rope a business owner who has been selling software to government agencies and acting like he's somehow somehow complicit in the shootings that have happened with ICE in the last few weeks is just how do you even make those jumps of logic?
Journalistic malpractice.
Yeah.
This is what the paragraph in this article. In the 1930s, IBM via German subsidiary leased early computers and customized punch cards to the Nazi government. The data that technology gathered on Germany Jews and other minorities enabled the Nazis' later campaign of mass imprisonment and murder. Literally link that to what Lillard and GovSmart is doing.
Yeah.
In print.
It's absurd.
That would seem to me, especially with the information that I just provided of the author of the story being the comms director of the Albemarle County Democratic Party, would seem to be meritable or justifiable as a potential suit from Lillard and GovSmart against the CVille Weekly.
I'd love to hear from some of our viewers with more knowledge in law than myself.
I will ask Lillard on Tuesday if the plan is GovSmart and Lillard to, in any capacity, I mean, at the very least, there should be an aggressive retraction published, including mention that the author is the comms director of the Albemarle County Democratic Party, who is publishing content about the Democrats in Albemarle protesting and activating against ICE. That is cause for never reading the publication ever again by the community, period.
It's definitely egregious.
Next headline, Judah Wickower, what do you got? Then we're going to go to comments on the show that are coming in aggressively on the I Love CVille network. Next headline, what do you got, Judah Wickower?
Revenue impact to Charlottesville revenue?
This from Sean Tubbs' Substack, the Charlottesville newsletter. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an advisor locally of the finance variety consulting with Charlottesville City Council and explaining to Charlottesville City Council that revenue may be a point of concern, highlighting macroeconomic headwinds, while also speaking to real estate assessments in the city specifically, not upticking to the level of consistency and upticks we've seen in years past.
Yeah.
This done at a retreat. The macroeconomic headwinds, the national financial picture are one we all know. Floating debt is expensive. Groceries are expensive. Insurance is expensive. Gasoline is expensive. Everything is expensive. We are spending less. You talk about job growth. You talk about artificial intelligence replacing human capital. You talk about headwinds macro-wise. Micro-wise, there are also headwinds for a municipality like Charlottesville. Why don't I just rattle them off? Assessments tied to Charlottesville real estate, market values tied to Charlottesville real estate are flat. This has been a bread and butter for the city of Charlottesville for years, counting on increased revenue tied to assessments on rooftops. Now they're flat. How about this, another one for you?
Hold on. She also notes that real property tax makes up 50% of the city's budget.
Yeah.
I think that's important to note, considering the fact that, like you said, with roofs being flat, not raising, they're not getting any more money from that, and that's
Half the budget.
half the budget.
How about more for you? Look at the downtown mall. The most important 8 blocks of commerce for the entire Central Virginia region, the heartbeat of the region, and clearly one of the drivers of revenue in the city. It's seen way better days, and that's an understatement. It has not recovered post-COVID. Point in case. Until the city has a true heart-to-heart about the houseless population and the impact that the houseless population is having in downtown Charlottesville, it does not see the forest through the trees. We can help the houseless population and offer the houseless population a hand up, not a hand out, but a hand up. But that hand up does not have to be on the effing downtown mall,
Yeah.
where friends of ours, clients of ours, neighbors of ours literally have to do written one-paper agreements with the houseless population and their ability to sleep in their vestibules. There's one business owner who not only owns the business, but owns the real estate the business is housed within, that has a napkin written agreement, on a napkin with 2 homeless individuals. And the agreement says, if you do not pee, poop, or puke in my vestibule, and if you leave the vestibule by 7 a.m., I will allow you to sleep here overnight. But if you pee, puke, or poop in my vestibule and don't leave by 7 a.m., you're not allowed to sleep here. And she's doing this because she has no other choice. At least she can hedge her risk and exposure by putting some kind of rules in place.
Yeah.
That's a true story. How about another micro headwind? The entire month of January lost for commerce because of snow and ice, now creeping into February. How about another micro headwind? Did you know that there's an actual protest today? And the protest today is a national protest centered around ICE. And the protest is no schools, no local shopping, no, what was the effing, it was mind-boggling, the protest. I want to call it up again. The protest was mind-boggling. It was, did you see it?
I did not see that.
I need to get the exact.
Well, school was not a problem.
No, some people are in school today.
Are they?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, our maniacs are not. The protests, I literally saw this. It's all over Reddit. It's all over social media. What are they calling it? An ice out? But a national protest on a day when the country, the Mid-Atlantic, the East Coast, it's called Ice Out Everywhere. National Shutdown Friday. No work, no school, no shopping. On January 30th, 2026. Do the protesters realize with the no work, no school, no shopping, the ice out, that the only people that they're actually helping is the Jeff Bezos, the Amazons, the Walmarts, and the Targets of the world?
Yeah.
And the people they're actually negatively impacting by the no work, no school, no shopping, the people they're negatively impacting is the stay-at-home mom, the stay-at-home dad, the adolescent, the small shopkeep, the mom and pop business owner that is literally trying to rub 2 pennies together to make 3 cents to keep the lights on. The level of out of touch with a no work, no school, no shopping protest during the middle of a once-in-a-generation ice and snowstorm is disheartening at best, disgusting more realistically.
Yeah.
How's that for another micro headwind for Charlottesville's budget?
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up to the viewers and listeners, the reason I bring this to the attention of the viewers and listeners is if meals taxes and lodging taxes and sales taxes and property meals taxes, lodging taxes, and sales taxes are down, and property assessments are flat, what do you think the lever is going to be? What lever is going to be tweaked?
More taxes.
Yeah, the real estate tax rate, the meals tax. And those are regressive taxes. Those are gentrification taxes. The gentrification of dining out is the meals tax. You increase the taxes on dining out, families don't take their kids out to dinner and teach them socialization. And the mom and pop restaurant owner doesn't get the customer base, and they go out of business. The real estate tax rate, when Albemarle County last year upped at 4 cents, when assessments have increased 13 years in a row, including a double-digit assessment in 2023, a 4-cent real estate tax rate increase in 2025 by the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors is spitting in the face of Albemarle Countyans. It is spitting in the face of Albemarle Countyans, saying, oh, you can afford it. And then the final headline, and then I'm going to open up the show to comments that are coming in extremely quickly. Okay? Final headline is this, and it's almost a trivial one, but I'm a sports fan, and it's a show that's the 2026 version of the newspaper, so we have different sections or silos of content. Tomorrow there's a basketball game. Boston College and the University of Virginia play in Chestnut Hill. The Eagles are not very good. They're 9-11 overall and 2-5 in ACC play, and Virginia is very good. They're the 17th ranked team in the nation. They're 17-3 overall and 6-2 in conference play. The game tips off at 1:30 p.m., unfortunately, on the CW network. Virginia should win this game handedly, and if they do, they improve to 7-2 in ACC play. Virginia is looking like a team that can make a deep run into the NCAA tournament. Tomorrow is the halfway marker of the ACC regular season. All right, comments. Number one in the family, Deep Throat. Deep Throat's family photo on screen. Literally the number one ranked viewer and listener. Our family makes the program better every single day. He says this, that is quite a find on Nathan Alderman, the CVille Weekly reporter. I mean, I knew that CVille Weekly wasn't a real journalistic outlet, but it's absolutely ridiculous having the comms director for the Albemarle County Democratic Party as a reporter for the CVille Weekly talking about business and doxing the co-founder of a firm like GovSmart. Luckily, the only audience for this allegations are the fish that get wrapped and unread by humans, copies of the CVille Weekly. He's basically saying the newspaper is good for wrapping fish.
Yeah.
And he also says, yeah, this general strike seemed like a bust. Kids are back in school at Stab, and the parking lot of Foods of All Nations, I could not find a space. Loud activism does not mean today's reality.
That's a good point.
And he highlights that assessment should be relatively flat in the city of Charlottesville, and he provides data points. Deep Throat, we appreciate you watching and listening to the show. I sincerely mean that. Comments continue to come in on the I Love CVille network. Print, radio, and television all over the show today. John Blair, number 2 in the family. Jerry, I will not comment on whether any of the proposed tax increases by Virginia Democrats are good or bad, but I will point out that it's not the 1970s or the 1980s any longer. What do I mean by that? Capital and wealthy people and businesses have shown that they're no longer tied to places. The explosion in Texas and Florida continues. Last year, per the U.S. Census population estimates, Florida, Texas, and South Carolina gained 155,000 migrants. California and New York lost 366,000 migrants. Here's a link to the official numbers. Basically what he's saying, be extremely careful what you do with taxing Virginians, because in today's digital, nomadic world, the wealthy can work from ISPs and zip codes of their choosing. That's what he's saying. Spencer Pushar is watching the program, and he's giving us the round of applause emojis for our commentary. Spencer Pushar, we appreciate you. Comments continue to come in. Conan Owen is watching the show, the owner of Sir Speedy Central Virginia. If you have a logo and you need visibility for it, Conan Owen is who you contact in Sir Speedy Central Virginia. Anything signage related, anything direct mail related, anything merchandise, uniform, pamphlet, trifold related. The banner behind us, Sir Speedy Central Virginia. Conan Owen in Sir Speedy Central Virginia. Conan says it's not like ICE isn't going to find a vendor. Would they rather the contract go to a hardcore MAGA supporter who would just donate their profits to a MAGA cause, or have it go to a local company that can contribute more to the community? And where do the local activists draw the line? Do we boycott the Hilton Hotel Group, Draftsman, the Graduate, the Hampton Inn, because they have a corporate contract with the feds? By the way, Hilton CEO is a Darden grad, and another UVA grad is behind a $250,000 program with McIntyre. Should UVA turn down that support? Lonnie Murray watching the program, his photo on screen. Speaking as a citizen, it's important to note that Virginia has balanced budgets. If you only look at the taxes, then you are only looking at one side of the equation. Personally, as a supporter of home rule, I think localities in particular need more flexibility in how they can fund priorities the public wants and needs. I'm less concerned with what bills allow taxation and more what services are being funded. It's also worth noting that taxes are inherently regressive right now because of tax breaks like land use valuation. Some of the wealthiest people pay very little in taxes relative to their property value because they have some kind of nominal agricultural, like low-quality hay. That puts a much higher tax burden on urban residents who have to make up that difference. In past years, that tax break cost local residents around $15 million. Tax breaks are just spending in a different form. Virginia localities really need tools like impact fees so that new development can pay for its own impacts, not just put the burden on existing residents. Anyway, the primary consideration for me is fairness. Are the means of raising revenues equitable, and would the funds go to priorities the public needs?
Good points.
Georgia Gilmer, the potential ban on gas-powered leaf blowers and then a tax on electric-powered landscaping equipment is insane. That's from Georgia Gilmer. Insane. We're just trying to figure out what's going on here. That's all we're trying to do with this show, is figure out what's going on around here. Judah, thoughts? Stacey Baker Patty giving us some props on the show. Logan Wells Kalelo and Randy O'Neill give us props on the show. Anything you'd like to add before we close, Judah?
Yeah, I think I want to just say a quick bit about what are we calling it? Selective outrage. There's, I'm sure most of you have heard of Tom Homan. He works in ICE, and he worked for ICE under Obama. Obama awarded him the 2015 Presidential Rank Award for Distinguished Service. So are we to go back and be selectively outraged about anything to do with ICE? Are we now outraged at Obama for continuing to use ICE throughout his presidency? And this obviously goes to the point of, why are we calling out a business for doing business with a government agency and being selectively outraged because that agency is behind something horrific that's happened recently? I think it's insanity. It's part of the divide in our country right now, and I'm frankly kind of sick and tired of it.
Thank you, Judah. Carol Thorpe, Queen of Jack Jewett. I received my Albemarle County property assessment yesterday. They raised it 10%. That means I will start by paying an extra 10% on the 4-cent rate hike they imposed last year, and that's even before they even consider another likely rate hike this year. I never thought I would say this after 30 years in the area, but my husband and I are now considering moving out when he retires in 5 years. The assessment increases that coincide with real estate tax rate increases, all they do Albemarle County supervisors and elected officials that are watching the show right now or will watch this show in archive capacity. All you are doing is making our community wealthier and more homogenous. And what I mean by that is white and rich. You are gentrifying our community at a quicker, more rapid rate than the University of Virginia. Single income households, retirees, folks living on Social Security, unemployed households cannot keep up with assessment increases at the same time real estate tax rate increases, at the same time grocery, gasoline, and every other cost in their budget is going up. They will just move out of Albemarle County and they will be replaced by homogenous nomads, carpetbaggers, or entries into Albemarle County. We'll close the show with the most important 3 minutes of news that you will hear today. Judah Wickhauer, do you have me on a one shot, and are you ready to go on this?
I've got you on a one shot.
One shot me, put the PTIs on screen. We'll do this for 180 seconds. These are the most important 3 minutes of news for you on Friday, January 30th. Virginia Democrats right now have 50 new tax bills that they are considering, 5-0. That doesn't mean they are approved, but it should be a point of concern for all of us. If you remember in 2025, Democrats in Virginia, led by Abigail Spanberger with her push to governor, promised us as voters, if they were elected, affordability. Now here we are, weeks into 2026, and more than 50 bills tied to taxes are in front of them, and even worse, in front of us. Next headline, the Jefferson Council has acknowledged the reporting the I Love CVille network published on Monday evening. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reported, Risa Goluboff, the first female dean in Virginia law school history, is absolutely a shortlist candidate potential to replace Scott Beardsley as president of the University of Virginia. We now await Abigail Spanberger, her 10 appointments to the Board of Visitors. They will get approved by the General Assembly in the days to come. Once they are approved, the Board of Visitors will be legitimate by the letter of the law, and they will move, we are hearing, quickly to potentially boot Beardsley out of office with Risa Goluboff as a potential replacement. Next headline. The CVille Weekly published a hit piece on Brent Lillard and GovSmart, a government contracting firm that employs more than 90 people locally here in the city of Charlottesville. GovSmart does top-line revenue north of $500 million. $3 million of that $500 million is tied to ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. Somehow the CVille Weekly got its hands on that. The author of this hit piece is Nathan Alderman. He is the comms director of the Albemarle County Democratic Party, Nathan Alderman. Why is the communications director for the Albemarle County Democratic Party that is executing protests and activating activist efforts against ICE also publishing reporting in the CVille Weekly about locally owned businesses and immigration, customs, and enforcement revenue streams? That seems like a journalistic conflict of interest and certainly questionable ethics. Next headline. An advisor for the city of Charlottesville is consulting Charlottesville city councilors on budgetary headwinds from a macroeconomic standpoint and a microeconomic standpoint. Be careful, because if these budgetary headwinds continue, it's going to be you and me, the taxpayer, that are going to have to foot the bill and pay more. And in closing, the University of Virginia faces Boston College tomorrow, Saturday. At the midpoint of the ACC season, UVA is a clear-cut favorite to beat the Eagles in Chestnut Hill and climb up the top 25 rankings. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love CVille Show.